You guys ready? Yeah, can I call to order the March 2nd Board of Supervisors, Tredyffrin Township public meeting?
Recording in progress.
Thank you. First of all, we have a special presentation. Diane Von Moll.
It's hiding. Is there anyone here tonight from NovaCare? It's not. Well, on behalf of our Parks and Rec, we would like to thank NovaCare and the Metropolitan Veterinary Associates for being gold sponsors in 2025. Their contribution was extremely appreciated, and we wanted to present them with an acknowledgement plaque, and we will make sure we get it to the right people. So kudos to NovaCare and Metropolitan Veterinary Associates. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I have a special award to give out. I'm pretty excited about. This is an ICMA, International City Management Association Award for Bill Martin for 35 years of service excellence. Bill started, I guess you were 12 years old. If it's 35 years, it must be. But seriously, the residents of Tredyffrin Township really appreciate the hard work, the dedication, the things that you do to make this township run as smoothly and well as it does. I think it's a tribute to you and the whole staff. I mean, obviously, you don't do it all alone, but you're the guy in charge. And so thank you for all your hard work, and I'd like to give this to you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You were surprised? That was well done. He was legit surprised, which is hard to pull off.
We did it!
Yeah, that was hard to pull off, so thank you. We have announcements. Just a reminder to residents and commercial property owners who are responsible for submitting annual reports to the engineering department showing the dates and details of all inspections and maintenance performed to the stormwater management facilities by April 1st, 2026. The inspection form can be accessed via our Carliti. Is it online? Is that how it is?
It's on our Clarity system, which is our permitting system, yes.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Just a reminder for motorists to drive carefully and follow the posted speed limit, which is 25 miles an hour, near South Valley Road and Circular Avenue, as PennDOT prepares to install a four-way stop sign, advanced signage, and pavement markings. That's been a high accident area for the township for a while. The Turnpike Commission Town Hall, to provide an update for the reconstruction project that was scheduled for Monday, March 2nd, has been rescheduled for Thursday, March 5th at 7 p.m., and it's going to be here in this room this Thursday. And then sign up on the www.readychesco.org to receive the Township monthly e-newsletter, as well as other notifications and alerts from Chester County. And I want to read a statement from the Board of Supervisors. I think it reflects some news that we've had before. We know the news that the GSA has leased space in Tredyffrin Township has created concern among some residents that the scenes from Minnesota of ICE and CBP wearing masks to evade accountability and stopping people simply because they have an accent or because of the color of their skin will be repeated here. I want to make it clear, everyone is welcome in Tredyffrin Township, or we want to make it clear, everyone is welcome in Tredyffrin Township. No matter what language you speak, what you look like, who you love, or who you may pray to. The township is committed to do everything we can within the boundaries of the law to protect our residents. The building permit requested by the GSA was for standard office construction like any other routine permit. Similarly, the certificate of occupancy was for permitted office use. There's nothing unusual about these requests or the proposed usage of the office space, and therefore no basis for the township to object. The township affirms the sentiment expressed by the joint statement issued by the Chester County District Attorney's Office and the Chester County Police Chiefs Association that local law enforcement does not enforce civil immigration orders, that the township has no connection with the activities of ICE, and that the township resources are focused on providing for the health, safety, and welfare of all members of our community. And the full press release is linked to this, which will be posted on our website after this meeting. In the event the chaos caused by ICE and CBP comes to Tredyffrin Township, the township officials, staff, and police are prepared to do everything within their powers to keep residents safe. Residents can learn more about their rights and with regard to immigration enforcement, and there'll also be a link to that statement on the township website. Now we come to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 2nd, 2026 public meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel matters. Now we go to supervisor liaison reports. Supervisor Brzezinski.
Thank you. For Planning Commission, just a few updates for the public. 4 projects were discussed. I'll keep this brief. Mainline pedal will be installing pedal courts at 341 East Conestoga Road. That's near Brightview Senior Living. That was discussed for preliminary final land development. Secondly, 946 and 916 North Valley Forge Road was discussed with the synagogue regarding lot consolidation. Thirdly, 1010 Wayne LLC. This involves 602 and 660 Old Eagle School Road for proposed development. We had quite a turnout from the residents, and we appreciate that feedback for the Planning Commission regarding stormwater concerns and traffic, among others. So no movement on that, but there'll be more discussion to come regarding that project. And finally, Russell Road Development LLC. Folks may recall a few years back, they were looking to build an assisted living facility on Russell Road. There's quite a discussion about that. The pandemic occurred, and the former owners of the property pivoted. Now they're moving on to a twin home type development over there. So we had some good feedback from the residents as well. Also talking about stormwater, as well as some traffic concerns and pedestrian safety. Some more discussion to come on that, but it seems that folks are a little happier with that versus a senior living facility across from the existing neighborhood there. No development or personnel updates for this past month. Last thing, Mr. Chairman, and I'll wait till the end, or if you want me to do the motion, I can when I'm done. The TE Fire Commission held its first public meeting. So it involves 3 elected officials in Tredyffrin Township, 2 elected officials in Easttown Township, as well as several staff members present tonight from Tredyffrin Township, as well as staff members from Easttown Township. This is the kickoff of getting the commission organized to help oversee and manage how fire EMS is deployed now into the future. Some more to come on that, but definitely a good start. And we also had good participation from our fire companies at Radnor, Berwyn, and Paoli. And thank you for the staff, especially Dean, our new CEO, for his efforts on the Tredyffrin side of the fence and pushing things along. And I'll just have a motion to appoint John Carullo to the Planning Commission.
Second.
Oh, wait, any comments? Any comments first?
I'd just like to comment, we'd several residents interested. Oftentimes with these volunteer positions, difficult to get folks to step up to the plate. We're fortunate we had several individuals that came forth. Unfortunately, we can only appoint one person to the board. I'd encourage those folks that did not get on this time. We have many other opportunities in the township here to serve. Please reach out to Bill Martin, our township manager, and please pay attention. But I really want to thank those folks for coming in and spending time with us and getting to know them.
The only I'll add is I had an opportunity to meet with John, and he's extraordinarily qualified for the position, so we're excited to appoint him. Any other comments? Any public comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Supervisor Von Moll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The municipal authority had an update. We have not met since our last supervisors meeting, but you may recall the last board meeting, the board did approve the sale of excess capacity from the sewage treatment facility that we work with the Valley Forge Sewer Authority. I have received an update that sale has now closed. It closed on Friday, February 13th, and it made a deposit of $5.4 million into the sewer fund. So I'm very pleased to say that that process has now completed, and we're looking forward to the funds, obviously, to improve the sewer capacity, but also the municipal authorities' projects to come. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Von Wall. Supervisor Humble.
No reports tonight.
Thank you.
Well, I should say, I'm deferring to Carlotta on the Arts Commission unless she prefers that I speak on it. All right, thank you.
Supervisor Gussie.
I'm also not going to give one tonight because the Historical Commission is going to be giving a very thorough report today, so I will let them speak.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. Supervisor Johnston Pugh.
Thank you, Supervisor Sharon. The Art Commission, the Art Commission, as you may have seen when you came in, started their black and white photos for the students from all schools around, Devon Prep, Conestoga, Delaware Valley Friends, and there's one more I can't remember, but if you go out, you will see they had a opening this past weekend, and I would hope that everyone here would take a look at the great work that the students have done. What we are also looking for in the Art Commission is to set up for the 250th anniversary a mural in Wilson Farm Park. And so we are working on that right now to see if we can get that done. And then hopefully we will be working on another mural for next year for the anniversary of Tredyffrin Township. So if people have ideas that they might want to see in a mural, if you would let us know or send an email to the Art Commission, which is listed on the website, we would truly appreciate it. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnston Pugh. Supervisor Bhaskar.
So the Environmental Advisory Council met on Tuesday, February 24th, and here are a few highlights. Note that a good part of the EAC meetings are getting an engineering report, reviewing meetings of the Planning Commission, etc. So, and I don't report on those because they're reported on separately. So in park stewardship, wildflower seeds were sown in areas of Basie B. Hall Park that were sprayed for knotweed. A garlic mustard pull is scheduled for April 11th at Krabby Creek Park. And following a successful joint table at a gardening workshop with the Easttown EAC, was discussion of an informal get-together of the two EACs later in the spring. And there was planning for the EAC table at the Earth Day event of the Upper Main Line YMCA. There was discussion about improvements of the woodland conservation ordinance that was on deck for this year. So there's a subcommittee of the board that is working with the staff on tweaking the ordinance now that we have a couple years of experience with it. So the next meeting of the EAC will take place on Tuesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. And on the agenda a little later, we have a short presentation from Phil Whitmer, who is an EAC member, but also Vice President of Birdtown Tredyffrin. So I won't go further with that right now. And then the Library Board of Trustees met on Thursday, February 26th at the Paoli Library. Trustee Stacey Stone is stepping down from the board. So we'd like to thank her for her service to the library, and we'd like to invite any interested residents to let us know. And thank you in advance to anyone who's stepping up to volunteer, because the library board and a lot of the boards of the township are volunteer powered. And the library will also be getting, we got a slight preview or information about the Stack Mapper software, which will make it easier to locate books. So right now, you may have a call number for a book, but then you don't necessarily, kind of have to walk around to see where it's located, which rack and which shelf. So the Stack Mapper software will make that much easier. And then Paoli head librarian Abby Sengel reported that the Friends of Paoli Library seems to be getting active again, and that is another volunteer opportunity for anyone, and thanks again in advance. There was also discussion about whether there's a gap between policies and their implementation, and there's an ad hoc working group of board members and staff, and they will report at the next month. The next meeting of the library board will take place on Thursday, March 26th at 7 p.m. in the Stratford Library. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Now we're going to go to commission reports and updates. We have the Historical Commission Annual Report from Rob Williams, the chair.
Thank you, Chairman Miller. Thank you, Board, residents for coming out, for hearing this update, and for the Township staff who have been supportive. Usually we just report on the past year, but we have an important year coming up this year, 2026. I'll be reporting on a little bit of a update on what we'll be doing this year as well. As a reminder, the Historical Commission is an advisory board appointed by the supervisors. We have two roles. One is to raise the understanding awareness of the history, the heritage of the township to the residents and our viewers. And then second is to identify ways that we can preserve that heritage, specifically the built environment, the buildings, cemeteries, other types of structures that were placed here. It complements our work with open spaces to have also the built environment protected. I want to thank all my members of the commission who have been studying, learning, working, innovating all year long. Each one of them has contributed greatly. And I also want to thank especially Mr. Emmanuel for being a super planning support person, coming up with original ideas, including the planning process that we're doing right now to look at the update. Normally I save this checklist for last, but I'm going to put it up first. We work against two plans for our activities. One is the comprehensive plan, the 2021 to 2030, which was now, 5 years old. And then the second of 3 years ago, we got a grant to develop a strategic preservation plan. The check marks, the green check marks, are things that we've accomplished and are still working on. The blue circles are important tonight because this is the work that we'll be doing in 2026. Amending the ordinance, adopting new planning methods, in particular, maximizing the capacity of our staff and our commission, making things as efficient and smooth as possible. There are outsized resources from the state and the county that we must abide by. And then finally, what we've heard from our open discussions is this idea of voluntary, which has been going on for decades. Owners voluntarily maintain their properties, keep them up, maintain the integrity of their historic value. And we're trying to balance the ideas of how do we, through township means, protect the buildings, but also support any residents with continuing to sustain their properties. What we found when I started as chair 5 years ago is generally a lack of knowledge of the historic buildings that are actually in neighborhoods. So in 2022, we started a program of neighborhood walks, and it was dubbed Know Your Land, Know Your Place, Love Your Land. So since then, we've had 6 walks. 2 of them have been with Chester County, part of their summer walks program. And these have been particularly well attended. I would say on the order of 40 people at least. And the one I wanted to point out in particular, the top right, Tredyffrin, that was a surprise to us. A resident came to us at a community day and said, I live in the historic house in Tredyffrin. I was like, there's no historic house in Tredyffrin. And he said, yeah, come on out and visit. So we came, and sure enough, that building on the top right is the farmhouse from the Thomas Brothers Nursery, which has been there in 130 years. And the neighborhood was built around it, but the homestead was saved. And it's now owned by the first generation of owners who aren't Thomas family. And it's a gem, and it's hidden away in our neighborhood. So we decided to do these walks, and we continue to want to do walks. If anybody has a walk in their neighborhood they'd like to have, we're all ears to continue on. New this year, and I give credit to Mark Dixon on our board, we started posting in our Facebook page yesterday in Tredyffrin. These are the first 4 posts. We have a Facebook page, the Historical Commission, it's linked to the Township website. So every week we're posting a story about some aspect of history in Tredyffrin. Mark is a terrific writer, editor, and curator. So we're bringing stories to him and he's posting them. These are getting broader and broader distribution through our friends at other historical societies in the area. And I encourage all of you to, if you're a Facebook person, please follow us. This is going to be an activity for later tonight. Stream naming is an activity that came to us kind of as a surprise from 2 directions. One, Schuylkill Township north of us in the last 2 years named 13 of their streams for historic significance. And the reason they did that was they learned from their Environmental Advisory Council that named streams get better protection and better just general understanding from the neighbors and the people who live there if it's named. And then concurrently, the Jenkins Arboretum approached us to name the stream that runs through their property. And so we did the historical research, and the first thing we discovered was, I'll point out here in the top green, it says the Morris Refuge Association for Homeless and Suffering Animals. And we decided that was not a good name for the creek. And so we moved on to do more research, and we found with of course, with the help of the Jenkins Arboretum, the Brownings, and there's significant history that you'll hear about later tonight with the naming resolution. I want to say our team has worked very hard to up our skills, and we do that through training, and we've been training since 2021 with a series of grants that have funded foundational training. Through Mr. Burgo's good office, we worked with FEMA to get some mitigation monies to do training due to an adverse condition for one of the properties up on Yellow Springs Road, and that wound up being a significant training opportunity for the commission. I'll speak more of that in a second. The PMPEI, which is the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Education Institute, has offered a statewide program for people to understand the planning process. It's for municipal volunteers, professionals, elected officials. So 3 of us have gone through that training, gotten their certificate, and it's been immensely important for us to understand how historic preservation fits into the larger processes, like the comprehensive plan, like zoning, like subdivision and land development. So 3 of us have gone through that program. And then finally, the NAPC is the national program, which fortunately the township has continued to support our membership. 5 of the 6 of us went through the summer course training, virtual training, 6 seminars, excellent program to up our skills. We have been successful in getting money for historic preservation in the town. You'll see the acronym CLG, that's Certified Local Government. We have a designation in the state as a community that has been doing preservation work well for 4 decades. And we have this designation, and what it does is it allows us to get special grants and access to technical support. So we started with the first grant for our foundational training. The next year we got money for the strategic plan, and then this year, last year, 2024, we got money to start this preservation ordinance process. More importantly, the CLG gives access to our groups in this town, a bump up in any of the grants, Keystone grants. In particular, this was a Keystone construction grant at the Mount Zion Church. Got $37,000 of their $70,000 to restore their stained glass windows. If you go by the church on Devon State Road, you'll see them. They're beautiful, and that came in part because we're a certified local government. And then this year, we've been very lucky. The Chester County Community Foundation has been very helpful as part of this America 250. We received a grant I'll talk about for a project about how the British impact during the Revolution affected most of Tredyffrin. I'll show you that in detail. And then finally, we have a new Tredyffrin Heritage Center in Chesterbrook, and they won a grant for Dare to Declare, which is public readings of the Declaration of Independence. Our commission is dedicated to having more readings of the Declaration through this spring and into the summer, so look for more notices about that. And then finally, the state and the county have gotten close to $500,000 for a digital infrastructure for this America 250 to include kiosks, which are digital kiosks at 9 locations, maybe as many as 11. Tredyffrin is high on the list, I'll say, to get one of these kiosks, which is basically a digital history display that visitors can come and touch, interactive video screen. This will be installed in the Federal Barn in Chesterbrook, which we expect hopefully later this year, and the county is working through the details. So we've been very fortunate. Just to show that this training isn't just going in our heads, Eric Williams, the vice chair, had a tremendous idea of when it came to understand that one of our key properties that's actually shared between Easttown and Tredyffrin, the Lamb Tavern, otherwise known as Roughwood, was changing ownership. There's a very important building on Old Lancaster Avenue. It used to be an inn where, before the Revolution, when drovers were coming across, and I've now learned that going all the way to the Appalachians and south. And then one of the most important local architects, Brogan Oakey, made additions to that. So it has a number of unique features, but it's been in disrepair. And through this training, we were learning how to record buildings, how to do the as-is recordation. So we were invited in to photograph this in the period between Christmas and New Year's, unheated house, lots of gloves, 500 photos, and a means of documenting it. One of our former residents, Jim Garrison, who used to have my job more than a decade ago, has done a lot of the editing work. So now Easttown and Tredyffrin now have a record of this house before it's not going to be demolished. It's going to be redone by the new owner in some capacity, but we've captured the essence of the building as it was. This one we're very excited about. This is a brand new grant, again, from the Chester County Community Foundation, giving credit again to Eric Williams for this one. That map, I'll show you, if you look at it, I'll show for the audience. This is a map of Tredyffrin back in 1777. Every rectangle you see is a parcel. So if you think today we have some 9,000 parcels in Tredyffrin, back then there was 100 farms. You're looking at the extent of Tredyffrin's, full landscape then. Each one of these large farms, many of them have either an orange or red dot on them. Those dots represent the British taking, stealing, plundering that property, taking livestock, taking flour, taking food goods, taking fence rails, taking nails. The stories are documented by the Chester County Archives. This is a record on the bottom right. So we got a grant to basically create a touring exhibit that will go to our libraries, to the school, I hope in the Township building, talking about how all of our residents were affected during the war, not just fighting, not just bullets, but actually, as it says here in the kitchens and parlors, of how Tredyffrin residents were affected back in 1777. This will be up and running for our 250th by the end of the year. And of course, we have our British coming. We've been secretly hiding this from the Malvern people because the British camped in Tredyffrin for 3 nights after the Battle of Brandywine. 3 nights, and I'll show you a map of where they were. And it is from Tredyffrin that they launched the attack on Malvern, which became the famous Paoli Massacre. So it was actually from Howville, where the new Bear Hill Elementary School is. It's from that corner. I think it was 2,000 British troops left, went down Sweetsford Road, turned left at Wegmans, went up the hill, and attacked the Americans camped up in Malvern. We have reenactors coming on September 19th and 20 this year, one smaller unit, and we'll have a larger unit in 2027. So stay tuned for news about this. By the way, this is a big effort. We would love to have volunteers help us organize this. So anybody who's interested in hanging out with the British, we would love your support. This is actually the map of where the British were. Again, the county has done amazing work. This is an overlay in red of where the British troops were in 1777 for that 3 days. Where the flag is Tea Garden Park. So our park is nicely well located. That happened to be General Howe's headquarters. He was the commander of the forces. But I think what's most important is how you see all these parcels today are now overlaid by where the British were 250 years ago. So to think about that is, if you have an elementary or middle school child, and to say, this isn't some abstract thing down in downtown Philadelphia. The British camped in our yard, and they were here for 3 days, and they were, making, their meals, polishing their guns right here in our township for 3 nights. Then they went into Philadelphia, and of course they were there for the winter. The parcels that are in brown at the top are actually the residence for quarters for American generals. So during the winter encampment, the soldiers stayed in what's now Valley Forge Park, but the generals took quarters in houses, the farmhouses that existed. And you can see many of these farmhouses are now hard to find because they're subdivided with neighborhoods. But that's why we did the tour, the very first tour of the generals. So we'll be marking all of these for the 250th, but just so you know how important this is to our township. And then we are lucky to have a new history center coming into Tredyffrin. You all know the 3 properties, or the 3 buildings that are in Chesterbrook, the Dupertai House, the Federal Barn, and the Jones Log Barn. We have been working hard to become one of what Chester County is called a heritage center. You can see the stars where the heritage centers are for the Philadelphia campaign. We are the closest center to the Valley Forge Park. And what this center is going to be is interpreting the history of Tredyffrin and the nearby townships around us, so Easttown, Schuylkill, East Whiteland. Most of it will be in the Federal Barn, some of it will be in the Dupertai House. Of course, the Jones Log Barn already has interpretation about the agricultural life in Tredyffrin. So this, you see here, will be an outdoor kiosk. And then the bottom center picture is in the education center that will be running programs. This is a new nonprofit, and it's going to be exciting. We'll be working with many partners to build this. So look forward to more announcements. They had a kickoff event on the right, and some notable people that you might recognize. So that's the past. What we're working on in 2026 is the change to the ordinance. This meeting tonight is not presenting an ordinance plan, not presenting a proposal, but really just trying to set the stage for why we're doing this work. Why are we working on an ordinance update after these years? This is part of the long-term planning. Whoops, sorry, heavy finger. To preserve buildings takes the long view. All of you have probably been to some event where a building is being knocked down or soon to be knocked down, and the answer is, well, they have the right to do it, and there's no way that we can stop this. Well, the way it's stopped, or the way it's managed, or the way it's developed is by having long-term plans, setting out transparent rules like we have for zoning and land development, and making it clear what is going to happen to include our historic properties. So the question I start with is, why did we all move to Tredyffrin? And my wife and I, when we were moving out of Philadelphia City, my goal was low taxes, good school system. We got that. It wasn't until I moved here that I discovered, oh wow, this place has great transportation. We don't have to get on a highway to go do most of the things we want to do. Great shops, local sports, pubs and coffee shops. Those we discovered, soon after moving in. The second question is, when people say, well, where are you from? What's your answer? My answer is usually, if it's somebody from far away, I think about, well, what would they know? I go, King of Prussia Mall, or Valley Forge, if they're a sports person, or if they're a history person, maybe the or Villanova as a sports person. If you're a little closer and you know the train system, you might tell them your whistle stop. If they really know it, you tell them, the neighborhood. And a lot of our neighborhoods are just development names, like Shantrack and Treyburn. Or you might tell them, these are the old roads in Tredyffrin, by the way. Swedesford, Yellow Springs, these roads go back 300 years. I'm just off Swedesford, just past, 202 entrance. Or maybe these old neighborhoods, which some of them used to be train stations. Cedar Hollow, Howellville, Great Valley, Valley Forge Mountain. And the question is, do you ever say Tredyffrin as an answer to somebody? I live in Tredyffrin. And yet, Tredyffrin has all these points on the bottom. We're part of the basin of food growing for Philadelphia for the first 100 years. The Continental Army transformed from a group of 12 militias into a single army, partially in Tredyffrin, and certainly up in Valley Forge Park. We're the waypoint for many stops going west, from the Quakers to the Amish, to the Scotch-Irish, who eventually went down in the Shenandoah Valley, the trains, the highways, and then we have many famous Tredyffrin residents in all of these areas of accomplishment. So we picked up this quote. This is in the Tredyffrin Library. Tredyffrin could be perhaps the most historic place. 19 square miles. And this is just a mosaic of just a few of the buildings and a few of the eras. Colonial agriculture, the Revolutionary War, that's General Newhousen's quarters on Contention Lane. We have some mansions that are left over from, what might call the Gilded Age, when the railroads came out here. And then finally, the little whistle stops, the little gas station, as cars went west in the early 20s and in the 30s. We used to have dozens of these filling stations along Lancaster Pike, and now today there's one. This is my route when I take new people who join the commission or others to go to the significant points of history in Tredyffrin. This is a 3-hour route to go around and very briefly describe what happens at these points. All of the dots are recorded in our survey that was done in 2003. The ones that are in green are either listed or eligible for the National Register. So we have at least 33 buildings that are that important, that they're recognized nationally. And the dots in red are the ones that are demolished, at least the ones that I know of, in our recent recorded history. Anybody wants to go on a tour, call me, I'll be there, and I'll be happy to show you all these. Whenever we have our interns, the first thing we do when the high school seniors join us is we drive this. And I did want to mention an intern who we have who came from the Panhandle. And by the time we got halfway done and we're up in Cedar Hollow, and he's going, there is no way people in my class are out here. And yet there was a Conestoga congratulations class of 2023 sign, and he was in disbelief that, the town is this big and has that much history. This is a book that's in our Tredyffrin Public Library, Why Old Places Matter. Mr. Mays is with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. He identified 14 reasons why protecting one's heritage is important. There's a whole chapter devoted to each one of these ideas. No one of them, or no combination of them, are important to each one of us. It's really the collection of them as a community which speak to each of us. Several of these are important to me because of my boyhood and the way I grew up. And some of them, I'm just learning about and why they're important. So I recommend anybody who's interested in our township history and wants to set context, this is a great resource. When I started this journey as chair, I naively thought that this was about history only. And then it took me 2 years to figure out, no, this job's actually about real estate. And then it took me 2 years to get through that and go, hey, actually, it's not just about real estate. It's actually about our community and what our community wants to be, the places in the community, who we want to be, and more importantly, when we leave and we think back, or when we go away and we come back, or when our children go away and they start talking to their friends about being from Tredyffrin, the things that they remember. And, it could be, shopping centers and 202 Highway, but we have these riches that are in every neighborhood, and they can be important. Preservation only happens at the local level. Even if you're designated as on the National Register, even, frankly, Mount Vernon, is only protected because of local regulation. So it is our job, it is our right and responsibility in state law to manage our preservation, our own story here. It is part, it's been gone through case law, so we have the need to balance the need for our residents with the needs for the community. This is my wonky chart. Just briefly, the history. Again, Tredyffrin have been doing this for more than 5 decades. It was in the early 60s that the movement for preservation, and because of many teardowns, started. In Pennsylvania, the Historic District Act was created. It was very soon after that Tredyffrin was one of the first townships to actually jump on that legislation, and we created a historic review board. They did the work, they did the study, and they created the first historic district, which included 31 properties. As you saw from the map, those properties are all over the township. So our district was actually 19 square miles. It was actually the entire full size of Tredyffrin Township because we didn't have a village, we didn't have a center. Highly unusual. There's only one other municipality in the state like that, and it's a little half-mile borough out in western Pennsylvania. The municipal planning code came in 70, and that's zoning. So what all of us know about zoning and zones, that came about in the 70s. We have our first registered property, 72. We became a CLG. This is very important. We were the number 2 CLG. This is a designation, again, by the National Park Service, rolls down through the state. And of the 49 that exist today in the state, we are one of them out of more than 2,500 municipalities in the state. This is a rare designation, and we've had it for decades. It's important, and you saw the reasons why earlier. With that, we got a grant to do our first survey back in 2003. That's where we recognized the 386 properties. And then finally, we were required by the state to change from having a historic district to having zoning. And this is when a terrible change, in my opinion, happened. We disbanded the HARB. We created a historic commission that I and my colleagues are on, and we created an overlay. Overlay is a very basic tool in zoning, but we created it with one provision which all owners had to opt in. And there really were no incentives for opting in. So since that period, 2011 to 24, we've had 0 properties. You can see it on this green scale. The green represents the number of properties protected. In 2011, we dropped to 0. And it's been that until just a year ago when one of our families that was protected discovered, and to much of their horror, that they didn't know their house wasn't protected, and asked to be added. So we have one property today that's protected. That's General Poor's house, quarters on Thomas Road. This is our current state of affairs. We have one property protected in Tredyffrin. I mentioned there's 31 properties. We have 6 early American cabins, or 7, still standing, log cabins, still standing. You probably know the one that's on the high school ground. We have 6 others scattered around that are homes for people. I mentioned the generals who served General Washington. There are at least 6 Continental and 3 British that reside outside Valley Forge Park that are still standing. Duperty House is the public building, and all the rest are private, privately owned families. We have 2 inns, we have a mill, a railroad station, overall 31, and then the 30 on the National Register or eligible. This is our riches today, what I call our gems. So I just want to point out what this meant back when we were protected. This is a clip from the Supervisor Board meeting in 2000. The owners of Newhausen House, which is on Contention Lane, you remember, you've probably all seen this barn, wanted to, it was basically just these farmhouse, and they wanted to add a kitchen, wanted to add a family room, wanted to add 2 more bedrooms. So how do you do that with a historic building? Well, that owner came to the HARB, and Jim Garrison, who I've mentioned, was the leader of the HARB. He's not only is he an architect, but he's written 6 books on historic architecture and buildings in this region. And you can see here that they had a dialogue, and they were very happy with the outcome. We had a meeting last week as part of our regular process of learning what provisions in the code, and a question came up about, could the township ever really help residents understand their buildings and keep the integrity, the historic integrity of the buildings? Well, back in 2000, we did it. And one point is maybe we should do it again. And then it's my favorite intern who, when he came to us, I was like, oh man, what are we going to do with this kid? But it turns out that he's so enthusiastic. We get in front of this building and he goes, my gosh, I pass this every week visiting my friend. I had no idea what it is. And after that, he brought out his parents, he brought out his siblings, he brought out his aunt and uncle, his cousins, and started showing them around properties, you know, in the rest of Tredyffrin. And by the way, he's on his, he'll be graduating and probably into a career in local government is what he says he wants to do. On the downside, we have demolitions. So in my tenure, we've had at least 2. The Roberts Barn in Chesterbrook, a painful experience for most everybody in the room. And then little lesser known was a building, a manor house out in West Yellow Spring, or Swedesford, on a 17-acre property. This used to be the hub for social life back in the 40s, I understand. And but the owner didn't see fit that he wanted a house that big and that fancy. He was more interested in the barns that were on the property, and so that building came down. The demolition takes an application and $104.50. And that's what it takes to demolish a building today if there's no other, constraints. And then, as Mr. Burgo knows all too well, we had the property up in Yellow Springs. This is all mud that came cascading down the mountain after Hurricane Ida and 2 earlier. And this building, these are other historic buildings. This one was determined by FEMA to be eligible for the National Register after the fact. So just to let you all know where we stand, we in Tredyffrin, as I mentioned, we have 0 properties, but we added 1. Schuylkill to the north of us, they're protecting 212. They're going to add 12 buildings to their protected list. The mid-century modern, which are the contemporary buildings, glass fronts, slanted roof, all on Valley Forge Mountain. Charleston, 135, East Whiteland, 150, Willistown, 211. A lot of admiration for Easttown, already has 300, and they're going to add a number of buildings that are in Berwyn Village. And then the envy of, the lower main line is Radnor has 3 historic districts, 600 buildings protected, and Lower Marion, 1,100. But the most important number here, I think, is the Upper Marion number, which is also 0. They have no protections. They are focused on commercial development. They have what's called the Business Improvement District, which is why they keep building and putting in, more commercial properties, more parking lots. If you look down just at the bottom of Croton, you see the whole King of Prussia Town District. This is what you get when you have that kind of development force. And the question for us in zoning is that what we want for Tredyffrin? How do we balance development, growth, progress, individual property rights while protecting our our buildings. So at a minimum, we need to at least adhere to the certified local government. Better is to manage our growth like any zoning and land development process. And then what do we want to be? These are, what sense of place do we want? We are holding a series of meetings that are the third Tuesday nights of each month. We've had 2 of these meetings. We welcome you to come out to the next 2. Bring your thoughts about preservation, both in general and detail. If you're a homeowner, please come out. Talk to us about your concerns. And then finally, just to close, very thankful for the full support of the supervisors and the senior staff. We would love to have more volunteers and support from the township, but when this transitions, we're going to need very specific people to add to our board. Our board currently is people who are educators, writers, system engineers. We are not the people who, need to be the architects, the media people, the real estate people. I would say this is an ask for the supervisors for this calendar year, is to help us look for people to appoint to the board who will, bring us forward into the next. So thank you. I appreciate your attention to our progress.
Thanks. Do we have questions? Anybody? Sure, yeah.
Yes, mine's Marcel. I don't have any questions.
Could you come up to the microphone?
Yeah.
Sorry.
How's that? Good. Mark Slough. I don't have a question specifically, but I'm here with a group of community activists and leaders in support of everything that Rob's mentioned tonight. But I just have Tredyffrin in my heart as a youth. My family moved here in 1960. I grew up in neighboring Easttown Township, about a mile away. But my fondest memories are from here in Tredyffrin Township. I attended the TE Conestoga schools. As a kid, we used to skip school on a hot day and go down to the quarry at Howville Road and 252, jump off the cliffs. We used to, when the Valley Forge Music Fair was a tent, we would sneak in under the tent. I can remember watching George Carlin there. Chesterbrook was a mass cornfield. This site right here was an old Revolutionary barn and outbuildings amongst a literal tangle of weeds, overgrown brush. It was called Catman's, and we had our clandestine high school Friday parties here. I've reformed since that time, luckily, and I'm on the board with Rob on the Chester County 250 Commission, and this is the most opportune time to push forward with historical preservation. And I can speak for a number of people that are here and everybody that should be in support of the historic preservation, because it is a component to everything that's developed. Your township over the years has developed beautifully, well-planned, and historic preservation is certainly a part within the corporate centers, shopping centers, municipalities, and residential neighborhoods. So I go out to my past. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stacy Ballard from Eda Enterprises. We have a few properties in Tredyffrin Township, and most of our properties are actually in Easttown Township. And I'm involved with the Easttown and Tredyffrin Historic Society, as well as different groups in the township. And we do collaborate a lot and have a lot of overlap with Rob's group and with Rob in many different capacities. And I admire all of the development that's happened in Tredyffrin Township, but you do have so many incredible resources there, and I think it is important to really take a look and step back and protect some of those. So while I'm in Easttown Township, and there's times when I would love to see a little bit more development there, I do appreciate when I come into our little town and feel like it's our little town, and I think Tredyffrin has so many streets and communities that are like that too, and I am in full support of everything that you're proposing for protecting some of your historic assets and resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bertha Jackman, and I was born and raised here in Paoli, Tredyffrin Township, and there were 7 of us. I'm the last of 7, actually 6 and 7 because I have a twin sister. But all of us graduated, well, actually all of us attended schools here in Tredyffrin Township, going all the way back to when TE Middle School was the high school. My oldest brother graduated in 1954, I believe it was. I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity to hear this great presentation from Rob. I actually learned a lot, and I agree that historic preservation is definitely part of our history. And being from Paoli, I just want to mention a couple of places that I attend to. I actually live in Chester now, but I was born and raised here in Paoli. And, but I'm here all the time in Tredyffrin Township. My church is Mount Zion AME Church, and it's one of the resources that Rob mentioned that's on the National Register of Historic Places. And we also have a Pennsylvania State Historic Marker, which we are very, very proud of. And all of that was because of the 1932 to 1934 Berwyn school fight. And I just want to commend Easttown Township because they are in the process now of starting a program honoring that Berwyn school fight. That will be the 3rd honoring of the Berwyn school fight in this area. The first one was Mount Zion's historical marker, as I mentioned. The second one was the marker for the Lincoln School, which was one of the black schools that the children were designated to go to. The third one is going to be, Stacy, if you don't mind, can I say it? They're talking about doing a mural on one of the side of the buildings in Berwyn to honor the school fight. So that is brand new. I'm excited about it. I mentioned it at an NAACP meeting on Saturday, and people are excited to participate. So that's just one piece. West Paoli. I'm from West Paoli, which is basically Central Avenue. If you go over the bridge in Paoli train tracks and you turn left, that's West Paoli. And in the discussion that I was part of a couple of months ago, we were talking about historic properties. Now, I know most of the time we're talking about properties that are 200 years old or more, but Central Avenue, Summit Avenue, and some other little streets in between are areas where there are historic houses. May not be as old as some of the other ones, but they're historic houses. And with this preservation going on, we're looking at preserving or just letting the people know that they actually live in historic houses. And a lot of them were built by the Pennsylvania Railroad, because my father and other people worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad. So I just wanted to mention all of that, and just to say that I appreciate this meeting, I appreciate the presentation, and hopefully we can just move on with that. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Tim Caban. I live in East Whiteland Township. I'm here as a representative of CCHPN, which is the Chester County Historic and Preservation Network, and more specifically, I'm the member of that network that's responsible for supporting this section of the township, including in Tredyffrin. Prior to my membership in that organization, I served for 10 years as the chairman of the East Whiteland Historical Commission, and I stood in Rob's position in that township advocating for many contentious hearings about demolition and not. And I would just remind you all, from a governance standpoint, that simply putting structure around a review process does not remove any ability as supervisors to order a demolition. It simply swings the balance more evenly between personal and business interests for demolition and the preservation interests of the community. So I think it's appropriate to have a structure around that process, as many townships do, as East Whiteland does. And I would just close by saying that the matriarch of preservation planning in Chester County is a woman named Eleanor Morris, who is buried at St. Peter's in the Great Valley. St. Peter's in the Great Valley literally splits the line between East Whiteland and Tredyffrin. The parking lot's in Tredyffrin, the physical church is in East Whiteland. But she famously said, and many local politicians have always quoted her as saying, that people come to Chester County for our open spaces and our historic places. I would point out that Chester County is a very diverse and big county. Some townships have more open space, some townships have less. Some townships have less historic places, sometimes townships have more. I would argue this township is more oriented towards historic places. And they are part of the culture that is preserved, that should be preserved and can be preserved through your governance for the children, the future children and grandchildren of this township. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Any comments from the board?
I do.
No, there's one more.
We got one more.
Hi, my name is Jim Buxala. I'm the president of CCHPN, and I'm also very involved in East Brandywine Township as on the Historical Commission, the Planning Commission. And the value of historic resources is it connects us to our heritage. The resources themselves are a visible example and connection to the roots of our community, and it creates community. I want to thank Rob for an excellent presentation. And I also want to point out that historic protection overlays provide flexibility in what the owner can do, but it provides a process that slows things down and allows deliberate decisions to be made and provides the opportunity to redirect and look at other opportunities for preservation through reuse and things like that, and support for preservation to the property owner. So there's a lot of valuable aspects to the overlay. And with that, I want to thank Rob again for an excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
I want to say I think this is terrific, everything that Historical Commission is doing. Thank you, Rob, and to the whole team for it. Sometimes it feels like everybody who lives in this area takes for granted just how special it is because we live amongst it every day. But it really is unusual, and it is really terrific. And Ms. Jackman, I do remember in January, we spoke specifically about the housing that surrounds Woodbine Park and how it was made with Pennsylvania Railroad for their employees in mind. So yes, I agree with you totally on that. So anything I can do to help, I'm happy to do it. And I'll probably, when the weather gets warmer, take you up on the tour of Tredyffrin. Thank you.
Well, I just want to say, Rob, thanks for a fabulous presentation. We appointed you to this role. We had high expectations, and you are exceeding them. So I know we want to get this done this year, and there's a lot of commitment on the board to get this done too. So just so people understand, we didn't get him started on this because we weren't going to try to approve it. So thank you. Home Rule Charter update, Mr. Martin.
We have one more. We have the,
Sorry, I forgot about Birdtown. Sorry about that. This was such a long presentation. Birdtown, please. It's important also.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Talk about your tough act to follow.
We'll reverse it next time. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to give the board a brief, and I mean brief, update on what's been happening with Tredyffrin Birdtown and Birdtown, Pennsylvania. So for those of you who might not know, Birdtown, Pennsylvania is an organization that works with municipalities to help them develop and maintain bird-safe habitat in their municipalities. And one of the ways that we do that here in Tredyffrin, for instance, is working with the EAC. So I'm a member of the EAC. I'm the Birdtown representative on the EAC. I'm also the vice president of Birdtown, Pennsylvania, which is the organization that supports birdtowns throughout the state. One of the main things that we've been working on in Tredyffrin is maintaining and creating bird habitat. And when I say we, I mean myself and the EAC, both as Birdtown and EAC. We really work hand in glove. One of our major efforts has been working with Krabby Creek, removing invasive plants and monitoring water quality and macroinvertebrate studies. Dan Muller, who's from the Pennsylvania Game Commission, visited the park with some of us and described it as almost pristine, especially for a suburban area. And so we see that as one of the gems, the environmental gems in our community, and we're working hard to improve it and keep it up to date. We've also worked on invasives. We've worked at Maisie B. Hall Park and Bocce Grove to treat invasive Japanese knotweed. Also Wilson Farm Park has been a major focus for our efforts, planting trees, removing invasives, and maintaining good habitat. I'm pleased to tell you that for 2025, Tredyffrin Birdtown earned the gold level from the statewide organization based on the number of hours and the diversity of activities provided. Looking to the future, I'd like to encourage growth in Pennsylvania Audubon Council Habitat Recognition Program. This is something that property owners can do. They fill out an application. They can pay $30 to get a sign for their yard or for their property. That's going to be a way for bird towns to help create a community of bird-safe habitats. You know, my long-term goal is to be able to create some tours of native habitat properties, and that will give everybody a better view of what that's all about. Another thing I'd like to work on is getting a public showing of a new film that's just come out called The Extraordinary Caterpillar. It's a 1-hour family-friendly movie from Doug Ptolemy's group, Homegrown National Park. And I think young children. It's very family-friendly. Young children will love the variety and vibrant colors of many of the different caterpillars. And older students and adults will enjoy the connection between insects and animal life, such as birds. That's going to be so important to our environmental future. And I always tell people, so I love birds. I don't really care if you love birds or not. How do you feel about breathing? Because what we're talking about, if we don't save the birds, we're not saving our environment. And all of the resources that we need to be able to survive on this planet are then at risk. I'd also like to encourage placement of some chimney swift towers or purple martin condos. These are birds that are at risk and they're very dependent, just as bluebirds are. Bluebird boxes have become very popular. Purple martins and chimney swifts are also dependent on human habitat, meaning human spaces to nest. And so that's something that would be very valuable. I'd like to also encourage more treatments, window treatments, to protect birds from fatality, flying into windows. And a good example of that is Jenkins Arboretum, which has recently just completed protecting birds from its windows. And I'd love for all of you to go out and see the dot pattern that's out there. Now, in terms of Birdtown, Pennsylvania, the organization, as of today, we have 100 municipalities across the state that have joined the Birdtown movement, and we have more coming who are in the application process. We are going to collaborate with a national organization supported by the American Bird Conservancy and My Environment for the Americas. And this is a network of Birdtown-like organizations that includes 300 communities across 13 states and 4 countries. And this is going to give us more opportunities to learn from other organizations doing the same kinds of things that we are, and also provide the ability to get more of our message out across the country. And that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to being more active in the next year and hoping to get your support.
Thank you, Phil. Do we have any questions?
I do.
Yeah, sure.
When is the bird count, the backyard bird count?
I'm
When
sorry.
is the backyard bird count? Is that April? Oh, all right.
You mean the backyard bird count?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's passed.
February.
That's usually the 14th or so of February. And
Thank you.
But you know what? There's a program, a citizen science program called Nest Watch. So you can do a backyard bird count any old time you want.
I set out about 30 or 40 pounds of bird seed during this time that we've been snow covered to help keep the birds fed.
Yeah.
And I've been very surprised at all the variety that's been coming here that I thought, flew south for the winter, that apparently they don't. So that's been very eye-opening for us.
Well, I could talk for another hour, and I won't, about bird migration. And it's very interesting to watch the changes that happen from summer to fall to winter. Every year we lose some birds that we have in the summertime, like the catbird, for instance, flies further south. We gain some birds that winter here, like the dark-eyed junco and the white-throated sparrow. We don't see them during the summer, but we have them during the winter. And then we see lots of birds that are just passing through. My name is Phil Whitmer.
Any other questions for Phil? Thank you. This is great. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we're going to go to the Home Rule Charter update with Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Chair Miller, members of the board. Just as a reminder, we've had this on every public meeting to encourage the public to participate and get involved in the Home Rule Charter update. We are moving into phase 3 of our project for this year. We had an open house. We had, I call it, very light attendance. But we are moving towards, hopefully if the board is so inclined and we hear no further additional comments or suggestions, we'll have a public announcement of a public hearing at our March meeting for April. April will have a public hearing and possible adoption of the Home Rule Charter updates at the April 20th meeting. And then at that point, we'll have it on for the voter referendum at the general election in November. In the meantime, please keep an eye out. We have a monthly newsletter, and we hope to also have updates in there as well. Every newsletter, it's a digital newsletter that was sent out. We'll have a link on our website. We have articles that will be going out. So please, if you have questions and you're interested, let us know. We look forward to your input, and we'll keep moving along. Happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? I do want to encourage everyone to take a look at the revised charter. It's on the website. It's both the original and the markup. I think the committee did a fabulous job in marking it up and coming up with edits, but I'm also sure there's comments out there. So please, I'm asking people to take a look at it. Thanks. Because we're going to vote on it at the end of the year. I mean, in November, we're going to ask people to vote on and approve it. So I think it's important that people pay attention to it. Next, a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-09, acknowledging April 2026 as Pennsylvania 811 Safe Digging Month. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is an annual resolution that we adopt to remind everyone in the public, if you're going to do any digging of any kind in your yard, always be sure to call 811. That will ensure you don't hit an electrical line, gas line, or cause any damage to yourself or your property. So pretty straightforward. Contractors are pretty aware of it, but this just gets the public out there to remember if you're doing any major digging near your house, you definitely want to have this, call this number and have it marked out for you ahead of time. So I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Fairness, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? It's a roll call vote. Supervisor Brazunas.
Aye.
Supervisor Von Moll.
Aye.
Supervisor Humble.
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie.
Aye.
Supervisor Johnston Pugh. Supervisor Bhaskar.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Motion to approve a letter of support for Jenkins Arboretum efforts to name an unnamed tributary of Trout Creek on the Arboretum property along Devon State Road to Browning Brook. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, the representatives of the Jenkins Arboretum had reached out to the township. They are interested in having the unnamed tributary of Trout Creek. It runs along Devon State Road starts up in Easttown Township and runs primarily through the Arboretum property, and then further down Devon State Road where it eventually goes under 202 and joins in with the main branch of Trout Creek to Browning Brook. In order to do this, we've worked with the Arboretum. They have a several-step process to go ahead to the U.S. Board of Geographic Names, and they're looking for a letter of support from the township. Just a little background, they've provided, I guess they worked with the Historic Commission, they've worked with the EAC, they've gotten their letters of support, and the name from the Browning family, they had been very generous and donated 26 of the acres to the Jenkins Arboretum. They also were involved with the startup of what is now Devon 50 Troop, which also runs along that branch as well. So just a little background. We do have Thomas Smar here from the Jenkins Arboretum this evening, but they're just looking for your support so they can move forward with that process to get that unnamed tributary named Browning Brook.
Fantastic. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A lot of support, obviously. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Sure, yeah, come on up.
Again,
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Tom Small, I'm the Executive Director at Jenkins Arboretum and Gardens. I just wanted also to just second on what Steve just mentioned. I really appreciate all the supervisors and all that the township has done. We've been working very closely with Steve's department as we're doing a stormwater project. Your agenda today is full of stormwater, and as Rob indicated, having a name for this stream will really help our efforts in continuing our efforts to continue restoration. I said that a lot of times. Restoration of the stream. We have about 2/3 of the stream on our property to restore, and we have been doing more stormwater work around it. It's also just want to acknowledge everybody knows Jenkins' name, which is our first land giver and supporter of creating the Arboretum, but very few people know the Brownings. And as Steve highlighted, they had a significant impact in our immediate township historically, as we talk about history tonight, but also the importance of their impact and how they've contributed land, which could have gone to heirs. They actually gave that land to in essence, a nonprofit that would now be forever having that land available for the public good. So we see that as our role in partnership with government, in partnership with society in this area to do that kind of work. So we appreciate its support to make this simple thing happen.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Any other public comments?
I had my wedding portraits made at Jenkins Arboretum.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, definitely vote now. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a letter of support and land owner access authorization for a PA DEP Growing Greener grant application for the West Circular Avenue Stormwater Management and Drainage Improvement Project. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, there was a couple items in the packet this evening. Two specifically, we're asking for the board to approve. The landowner access authorization is one of the documents. Give a little background. The township applied for last May a DEP Growing Greener grant, and we were successful in getting DEP to award that for phase one of this project, which will be the design. So we got more than 95% of what we asked for that grant, and these are additional steps before we get the grant agreement executed. We just have to go through and do. The second was just a continued letter of support / financial commitment. We do identify the project in our 5-year capital as well as our current approved 2026 budget for that phase one design and then future construction. So we're looking for the board to support those two this evening, and then we will continue working with DEP to move this along and get the grant executed.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And this G is what you already spoke about, right? Motion to approve a letter of intent to the Army Corps of Engineers for the West Circular Avenue Stormwater Management and Drainage Improvement Project?
Well, we had a letter of support with the other one as well. There's two, but this is another one for the same project. This is actually looking ahead for construction of the project. Yes.
Do we hear a motion?
Motion.
Do we hear a second? Any board comments or questions? Mr. Burr, you want to explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that this letter of intent, so as part of the process, the township identified another possibility for some additional future funding, could be potentially large-scale funding for this construction portion of the project. So we're working with some, basically state representatives and senators, and we're kind of looking at the possibility. But as part of that, we have to identify this project with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, because the money would be kind of go through the Army Corps and working with the township. So this would be a letter of intent. It kind of sets the project, with the Army Corps. That way the money in the future, if appropriated, would go to the Army Corps and they would work with us on the construction end. This is still several years out, so it's kind of looking for the funds early on in the project while we're doing the design.
And we think this project is like $3.5 million, don't we?
It's a large project. This is just to kind of give an overview. This is for the west circular area of Paoli. It's a very headwaters of Crum Creek, which is a watershed further down, which has a lot of water quality issues and flooding issues. But it's heavily impervious in Tredyffrin. We're basically Route 30, the Amtrak corridor. Everything's developed along that corridor, and then it immediately flows downwards from here into the creek. So there's a lot of erosion. There's state roadways, there's township roadways, and there's a lot of residents who have, and we've met with those with supervisors over the years, have experienced flooding, on their streets in this area. So combination of drainage improvements and underground stormwater systems to try to help reduce the flooding and better manage the water in that neighborhood.
Yeah, no, thank you. I know this is an important project. It's also expensive. Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public? All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a proposal from Range Systems, Inc. for gun range improvements. Chief Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman Miller. In the 2026 capital budget for the complex, the police department had submitted back proposal to do the interior catch trap and mechanisms for upgrading the police gun range. Last year, we did the HVAC portion of that project. This will be the final portion. We've identified a proprietary system from Range Systems Incorporated out of New Hope, Minnesota, to complete that installation just because of the physical entrance, access, and capabilities of that range. And we're requesting approval to enter into agreement with that company. The price on that project is $199,255. The budget was $225,000. The remaining money would be spent for using our local electrical contractor and Public Works for the minor improvements that need to be done to complete the whole project. Available for any other questions if you have them.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chief Bay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? Sure.
Rowan Johnson, Paoli. I missed the amount. Did you say 200,000?
Yes, sir. The actual agreement is for, the PO is going to be $199,225. The budget amount that was already authorized for this project was $225,000.
I understand the budget was like that, but the question is, this is for a firing range, correct? How many times has the police fired a bullet in Tredyffrin Township over the last 5 years?
In the township, quite often.
Okay. I'm just saying this, for $200,000, an officer, we have 49 officers in town. I don't know if they've been asked that, but $200,000, an officer can really not even live in this town. It's $220,000 is the average expense to live in Paoli. So we're going to spend $200,000 on a firing range that I wonder if the officers think that they need that, where $200,000 to 40 officers would give them an extra $5,000 a year in their pay. And I would just wonder if the officers thought that the firing range, the way it was consumed now and is now, is acceptable, and where they'd rather use that money and a capital expense to divert that to their pay. I was wondering if the officers had any input into this.
Not to my knowledge. This was
Not to your knowledge. I asked the board, when we make these expenditures that affect the police department, why not get a consensus on the officers who are going to use the firing range? Is the one currently in effect appropriate? Okay? When you would rather have that money used to upgrade your pay, because it's very difficult, again, for a police officer, who we have the finest officers, to live in this town. And I just asked the supervisors to ask the chief of police, who does a fine job, to ask his officers, what do they think of the current thing? And would they rather have a different expenditure of that money rather than upgrading the firing range for $200,000? Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate your comment. Any other public comments? Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Mark Lewis, a resident for nearly 30 years. I just want to say what a fantastic job the police department does. I've actually seen a lot of the officers respond to emergencies, including the potential hostage situation in a nearby community. And I have only great respect for the work, the training, and the bravery that the police officers display basically every day. And I would support whatever really that they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I have a comment.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, this has been talked about for a little bit at this point. I think one thing that the superintendent's maybe being gracious, maybe a little too gracious on, our department prides itself in the township on having highly trained and skilled officers. We obviously have an existing facility. It was neglected for a very long time prior to him getting here. The fact that we have an asset like that here, we need to leverage that. Doing these upgrades is important. It keeps our officers here in town. Yes, we have access to Chester County Public Safety Training Center, but there's only so many folks that can go up there at one time to get certified with shooting. So the fact that we have that here is a benefit to the community, and in reality actually saves us money when officers can stay here versus having to go up to the county at varying times. So it echoed the last gentleman's comments. This is something I fully support. I'm glad that we can have this benefit for our officers. As much as I appreciate the gentleman's comments, he is right. The salaries are important. Along with that, it's having an environment, having a department, having resources that folks want to be here and want to come to work. Yes, the money's important, but having the facilities that are appropriate, similar to what we've seen with our fire and mess providers with the new station up in Berlin, it's the same thing, right? It's all inclusive. The money part, the infrastructure, and creating that good environment, healthy environment for folks to retain the talent that we do have in the township. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Brazunas. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a proposal for consultants for Cody Pathfinder implementation. Chief Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman Miller. Right now, we're in a transition going from a, I guess it would be like an in-house storage unit for our records management system to a cloud-based system with our records management provider. The part of that process is to clean 20-plus years of data, manage it, get it ready to go into the new format. We were able to identify a former Tredyffrin Township police lieutenant who actually left years ago, went with this vendor and worked with that vendor for for the product before now retiring from that agency. We'd like to use his expertise at the rate of $50 per hour for a project to help us clean up the data and maneuver around ourselves to get ourselves prepared, and then implement training for the officers to get ready for this transition. The nice thing is this system works cloud-based. We've been working with our GIS, Mike Giarasante. We're ready to get off the server that we have. It's like Mike continues to tell us, it's on its last leg. And this would be the last push in the next few months, 6 months, hopefully by the end of the year, to get us off of that. So we're looking for approval to bring in Mr. Mike Spirito Sr. as a technical support at the rate of $50 per hour, part-time basis, to help us through this transition.
Thank you, Chief Beatty. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any comments from the board? Sure.
Chief, can I ask you a question? So how long do you think it's going to take to do this? I'm not going to hold you.
We really want to get by the fall. I want to get off this by the fall. If you ask Mike G, it should have been last fall. He wants us off the in-house server because right now he's trying to maintain, just keep it moving. We want to be off of that in a timely fashion. So the availability to have this done to clean up, and a lot of the other input is redundancy of data that's either obsolete or duplicate. And we're trying to go through that to clean that up. So you're not just importing junk into something that's going to be a new system.
So right now, basically, it's getting held with bubble gum and spit, and he's trying to keep it going with the bubble gum and spit until you can get it. Okay, I got to put it the best way. And then this gentleman would be working, you're saying $50 an hour. So how many hours a day?
We're looking I would anticipate 2 to 3 days per week.
Okay.
6 to 8 hours. He's a retired gentleman. He's going to come in, work on it when he can, work with our officers. And the nice thing is he's the flexibility to come in on different shifts if he has to, and work with the officers for the different shifts as we get transitioned over to this project.
All right, so he's going to be able to help them be able to clean. Okay.
Start to finish, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board comments?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate my support for anything moving to the future on cloud-based systems. To the point, I understand having kept things locally, but security being what it is, especially in the data management side, it's really important. So I'm glad to see that we're making that move. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Public comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a proposal from Princeton Hydro for work related to Friendship Park improvements. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tonight, staff is seeking authorization to approve $9,800 services from Princeton Hydro relating to the filing of an NPDES permit, as well as some other PEA, DEP permits that are required for the project. We were hoping to avoid having to get an NPDES permit, but after, working extensively with Steve, it's just not possible. So we want to get this moving so that way we can get this project under construction.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All, I'm sorry.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize staff to advertise and receive bids for Friendship Park improvements. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We met with the landscape architects about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, try to get the timing under, a better understanding of when we're going to actually be able to get these project underway. Construction documents are about 95% complete. We had already done some pre-planning and sent the plans for, which will be under review for the NPDES permit, already to PAD, to speed that up. So we want to get this done so that way, as soon as that permit's approved, we can have the project bid out and awarded. So happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions?
I do, DeRocco. So if you send this paperwork out, now, how fast do you think you'll be able to get this started? How long do you think it'll take to get those permits and stuff?
I think because they had already sought some comments and feedback from DEP, I think that should hopefully, after talking with Steve, that should speed it up. It's still going to be probably 60-day process to get that approved. So in the next 60 days, our plan is to have everything else done, and then that be the last piece, and then send it out and get it back.
Okay.
Any other board comments?
I just want to say, when I first came on the board and was assigned to Parks and Rec, and after doing my own assessment of all the parks, and I went to Joe and I said, Friendship Park is the worst one, because there's so much of the, if you don't go to Friendship Park, you don't know. But once you go and try to walk the walkways through there, so much of the walkways are crumbled or they're broken up, and it's really hazardous. The play area is older, and we're also moving forward with plans to put an enclosed dog park there. So it's really needed at that park, everything we can do. And because of the way it's situated there on the hill, it's also a great place to be doing stormwater management. So, there's really a lot of things to be done at Friendship and that we're working on in phases. Thank you.
Any other board comments? Public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize a capital purchase of Toshiba copiers. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We are looking for approval to purchase 3, I think, copiers. 1, the police department, 2 on the administrative side. We've had these copiers since 2019. They've been great copiers. Actually been the best copiers that we've had so far. The cost is $30,735. It is in the budget, and again, the last ones lasted 7 years, so we're hoping that these will be another 7 years before I have to come back.
Yeah, no, thanks. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? Yeah.
No, just a question. I missed it because I was sitting in the back. It's 3 copiers, right? And they're going to be bid out to local copy dealers?
So our IT department, looks through different vendors, different areas. This was what he is suggesting. It's what we have now. It's replacing essentially.
So is that going to be bid out against the local dealers have a chance to bid on this, or is it just you're going to go back to the same people that you had to put before without a bid?
I do believe that the local dealer is, I think the dealer is local, and my understanding is it's a CoStarz thing as well.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. So, and I'm repeating myself, and I'm just sorry. It's not a lot of money, but I was just wondering, are we going to Toshiba directly? Are we going to dealers, or is it open to other people that have Ricoh copiers or Xerox or anything of that?
Yeah, my understanding is that it's a local Toshiba dealer, but
But they did this out?
Toshiba is the preferred brand. We've had.
So it wasn't bid out?
No, not directly.
Oh, okay.
It's
So what, just a record, it was not bid out?
It's a
with the
CoStarz
gentleman.
program.
Yeah, Joe, can you just explain the CoStarz?
Yeah,
please?
so these vendors are bid, they're on state contract, which means they did qualify as considered, they set a bid price, so the state bids it out to different vendors for certain prices, for certain services. So if it's on CoStarz, it's already been bid by the state, and that's the CoStarz price. You can negotiate it, but that's part of the process. But we're selecting this Toshiba brand because we've had success with it. In the past, we've leased copiers, they break. So this process, well, we didn't bid it out, the state did bid out the contract for the service provider.
So you're buying it off the state contract?
It's CoStar vendor, correct, they buy it through the state contract.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, didn't we reuse parts from the current copiers in the new ones? Isn't there like the fax piece or some card we're reusing?
Yeah, Mike takes care of all that.
Yeah, so it's not like there's actually, we've looked at this pretty hard to get the price down. So actually reusing a part of the current copier is being put in the new copier to keep the price down, just if it makes you feel a little better.
I know something about the business.
Motion to authorize staff to advertise and receive bids for the 2026 Super Pave project. Mr. Fitzgerald, oh, wait.
We have
Are we all in favor, say aye?
Yeah.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, thanks. Motion to authorize staff to advertise and receive bids for the 2026 Super Pave project. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff's requesting board approval to put out the 26 Super Pave program. We're currently finalizing our street list, and with the approval tonight, we'll be able to start the documents and have them ready for pen bid. We're hoping to come back to the board at the May meeting with the final results. Happy to answer any questions.
Motion.
Do we hear a second? Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve proposal from Dukes for the 2026 root control program. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is requesting board approval to do our annual root control on our sanitary sewer pipes. This year, we'll be treating approximately 6,500 feet of pipe for a price of $13,121.92, which is basically, we have a 3-year cycle, so this is our lowest amount in the cycle. The price is under the CoStarz program. Happy to answer any questions.
Motion. Do we hear a second?
Second.
Any comment from the board or questions? Questions or comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to provide, to approve capital purchase of inlet tops from Miller Precast Concrete. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff's requesting board approval for the replacement of 71 inlet tops to be replaced during our 26 Super Pave program. Part of our program includes the replacement or repairs of the inlets and replacement of the tops, and to install bicycle grates on them as well. The cost of the inlet tops and grates from Miller Precast Concrete is $58,455.
Do we hear a motion?
Motion.
Second. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to authorize staff to advertise and receive bids for janitorial services at the libraries. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Staff is requesting board approval to put the cleaning contract for Stratford and Paoli libraries out to bid. Our contract is expiring this month. We are extending it for another month or two, so hopefully that'll get us into our, to May for approval for the delay of this meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do we hear a second? Any board comments or questions?
I just have one question, Chairman Miller. Mr. Fitzgerald, we ever looked in the past at, with the number of facilities we have, hiring an employee? Has that ever been talked about in the past? Just to educate me a little bit on this.
Yes, we have talked about it, we have looked into it. In fact, currently, the building here and the Public Works building are done by current employees after hours, so.
Okay.
We have looked into it. Unfortunately, we don't just have enough hours or manpower yet in order to fill that position.
Thank you.
It's a constant discussion. I mean, every year we talk about it, yeah. Do I hear a motion? Oh, I got the motion. Any other comments from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a request from the TE School District for exoneration or exemption from the tax parcel 43-10F-151 located 312 Cassett Road in Berwyn for tax year 25 and 26. Mr. DeRocco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If you're not familiar with that parcel number, that is the playing fields that the school district just made improvements on. Staff is supportive of this since it's, again, it is a tax exempt use, so no issues from our side.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to appoint Lieutenant Jim Slavin as the Deputy Right to Know Officer for the Police Department. Chief Beatty.
Thank you, Chairman Miller and Board. We're just identifying a second backup open records signer, just to facilitate some of the paperwork that we have to do and correspond back to Mr. McKenna's office. So it's just a formality. When we went to the original resolution or for beginning of the year, he was not put on that. We'd like to add him just for redundancy to expedite getting responses done.
That makes sense. Thank you. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Just one. Yeah, sure.
Chief, I'm just wanting to know what Lieutenant Slavin did to draw the short straw on that one.
He's been helping me along with it. He
Fair
understands the process.
I understand.
So basically, I'm the head for the police side, and I've been working with him in our record. We have a person who does all the right to know, and between the three of us, we try and process them quickly, but this just helps to expedite. Somebody has to be there to sign them and get them out.
No, he's a great guy. All in favor, any other board comments? Any public comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we have a discussion about a community garden at 355 Chase Road. Supervisor Bhaskar.
So I think this is supposed to be off the agenda. It was originally proposed to be on the agenda because with the development of 355 Chase Road, there was an idea that perhaps there could be a community garden, but I think there is really no support for it. Whatever support there is, there's only like one couple. So if anyone has anything that they would like to say in favor of a community garden, please, let's talk about it. But I think I had originally proposed this for this meeting, but then, I should have withdrawn it, but it didn't get communicated.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
Hi, I'm Joanne Fisher. I'm president of the Chesterbrook Civic Association. We are the entity that had brought this to the board with some local residents that were interested in having a community garden. Once we looked into it, we did a great deal of interviewing community members and doing research of what it would take to fund, build, and maintain a community garden. We realized we didn't have the tools and the interest, so we dropped it. I do want to say that during our research, we were able to find that there is already a community garden in the township. So the Valley Forge Friends Meeting House, which is about 2 miles from 355 Chase Road, There is currently a thriving community garden with open lots. It's a low-cost gardening lot, and they do have a manager on staff, so it's very well-run. So we already have this in our township very close by, so we dropped the project. Okay? If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much.
I did also check with Parks and Rec and AEC just to make sure there wasn't some renewed interest, and they do not have any. So.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Thank you. Now we move to new members. Let's go to board member new matters. Any? No, sure.
This is directed at Mr. Fitzgerald. Mr. Fitzgerald, I can't say for the rest of us, but I can say this. On those days that it was ugly outside and the snow was coming down, when I woke up the next morning, Upper Gulf Road, I could see the ground. So I want to give you kudos to you and your staff.
Thank you. We actually have a great staff, so it's really the staff that gets out there and does all the work, so I'll let them know tomorrow morning. Thank you.
And one other thing, and Pat knows, we're going to get together, and I can't say for anybody else, but I personally want to do something for you and your staff, some type of breakfast or lunch or something, because that work that you do is not easy, because you're out there when the snow, and even though it's your staff, you're in charge. You're telling them go left, go right, put the salt and what have you. And so I personally want to do something for you and your staff, because again, when I woke up, I seen the ground. People call, oh, is this? Nope, I can get out my driveway because Upper Gulf Road and King of Prussia Road are done. So I give you kudos.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carla. Supervisor Johnston Pugh. That's a great, I would echo all those praises. It was great. Any other board member new matters?
Yes. I just want to echo the comments from Supervisor Johnston Pugh. Mr. Fitzgerald, you also went above and beyond during the last snowstorm. I had alerted you about a major pothole that had come up along Route 252 near the Route 30 intersection in Paoli. And for those that don't know in the township, those major roadways are ownership of PennDOT. So Tredyffrin Township has no responsibility for those. But having tried to call PennDOT to alert them of this massive hole, and knowing that they were under the gun, they had actually closed their hotline for reports. But I contacted Mr. Fitzgerald, and he was able to get it addressed before it became a major concern. So not only does he do excellent work for the township, but he'll even go above and beyond and answer the call of duty when others don't. So please, thank you to you and the rest of your team for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Any other board member new matters? Citizen new matters? Sure.
Hi, my name is Claire Witzlaven. I lived here for a super long time. I was really moved by the presentation on the history of our local community and our pride in our work to free ourselves from the British and establish a constitution and participate in an underground railroad. And it just bothers me so much that we are going to allow ICE to have administrative offices in our community. I know, and you started the meeting by saying there's nothing we can do. But I got to tell you, we have to be more creative. This is going to be a problem. And I don't know if it's going to be a protester who gets hit by a car or what. But the very notion that our proud community is going to permit people to work here, right here, who are going to be counting the people they detain and arguing about whether they have the rights they were given under our Constitution infuriates me. And I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. When I walk on the trail, I'm going to be right behind it. As much as I'm sympathetic to the building owners and the leasing agents, because the PNC Bank has been gone for a really long time from there, I don't want people there supporting anything that is anti-constitutional. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Do you want to, yeah, go ahead.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Scott Laird. I live at 942 Ivycroft Road, and I've been a resident in Tredyffrin since 1986. I'm speaking to you tonight in favor of asking the board to consider promulgating a new ordinance that meaningfully restricts the use of gasoline-powered leaf blowers and landscaping equipment for two reasons. Before I go into those reasons, I'll just mention that I had written a letter last year to the board, was transferred over to the Environmental Advisory Commission. So I have had some contact with those members. First, this equipment generates noise which detracts from the quality of life by a sort of disturbance of the peace. Most of all the homes near mine have contracted landscaping companies to cut grass and blow leaves. Because these firms do their work at different times, there are really few quiet hours during daylight when the din of riding mowers and leaf blowers is not heard. I use my screened porch for meals, for leisure, and for hospitality 3 seasons of the year. But too frequently we're disturbed by the landscaper's cacophony. Sometimes it even forces me back inside the house. It's that bad. My former next-door neighbor of many years until recently used his own portable gas-powered leaf blower all around his house. When he cleared his driveway, which is situated immediately adjacent to mine, he wore ear protection. But the noise of his leaf blower even bothered my ears enough, and I have some damaged hearing from my working ears. I had to wait for him to finish before I could continue to use my own garage or my own driveway. The second reason is that gas-powered lawn equipment like leaf blowers and lawnmowers pollute a lot. According to the Research and Policy Center of Environment America, they pump out millions of tons of carbon dioxide each year, the primary driver of climate change. In 2020, according to the Environment America, the fossil fuel-powered lawn equipment emitted more than 30 million tons of carbon dioxide, which is the leading driver of climate change. This was more carbon pollution than all of the city of Los Angeles that emitted in 2021. They maintain that electric-powered equipment makes more sense, and I quote from them, electric lawn equipment emits 0 planet-warming emissions. Although electric lawn equipment can cost more upfront, they're cheaper to own and operate than gas-powered equipment. They can save money over time due to lower fuel and maintenance costs, usually paying back the initial investment in just a few years. And electric lawn equipment is far quieter than gas-powered versions, which is a welcome relief to our hearing and our neighbors. That's a quote from Environment America. So to conclude, I'll just say that beginning 10 years ago, I gradually changed over all my own gasoline-powered equipment to electric power. At the same time, I subscribed to electric generation based on producing my electricity from 95 to 100% solar and wind to obviate emissions from coal combustion. That's more expensive for me than I could get using coal-powered generation, but I felt I needed to do that in order to compensate for the use of electricity. The noise problem is an off-on kind of nuisance. It's bothering you, and then it stops, and then it bothers you, and it stops. But the pollution issue is accumulative. it goes up and it continues to go up unless we do something to cut it back. And so you might not notice the results of cutting our pollution from gas-powered lawnmowers, but you're actually doing something that's even much greater than a short-term noise problem. Last year, Lower Merion Township passed such an ordinance, and Radnor Township intends to pass one this year, and I urge Tredyffrin to follow suit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm pleased to be here. I didn't come to support banning gas-powered leaf blowers, but I am full support of that. It's a big noise pollution. Okay. My name is Joanne Rose, and I have lived in Tredyffrin Township since 1976. Okay. Now, I know you all said, as the Board of Supervisors, that you can't do anything about this. But I am going to read what I have to say because it's important to our community. Okay. I understand that the Department of Homeland Security signed a lease for office space at 1000 West Lakes Boulevard in Berwyn for 12,500 square feet office space. I am concerned about the reckless actions of ICE, the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy with little accountability of the agencies or the department heads for those murders. Also, the multiple deaths of immigrants in the DHS ICE detention centers. And the illegally entering of people's homes, as well as other violent actions by their heavily armed and masked appearance. We don't need, nor do we want, their presence in our community. I also have great concern about what their presence might mean for further intimidation of our communities, and in the upcoming elections, as well as our future elections. So, you're in management, you hear this. Rather hear it now and do what you can before we're deep into what we see throughout our country and other states and other communities. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Rickey. I'm at 303 Head House Court, and I'm just here to say I'm very upset about what I know about the ICE office going in. My question is, as a citizen of the United States, how can we protest safely in Tredyffrin Township? Where would be an advisable place where we could still protest and make our voices heard? Anybody have any suggestions?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, Dave.
Yeah, on public land near the building is the most effective place to make.
There's public, but
There's small amounts of public land near the building. That's the most effective place to make your voice heard there.
okay.
If you want to have a larger protest, we could talk about some other place in the township, but I'm not sure that is effective if it's not
Right.
where the stuff is happening.
Because there's, going to be other things, not just about ICE, but other things that might come to fruition, the war, for example, war protests, et cetera. So I just wanted to find out if there was any safe space for these protests.
Yeah, let's talk, I mean, if you want to, if you're thinking about a larger protest, like a war protest or something, that's something we can talk about. I don't know where we would host it in the township, but that's something we could come up with. We have to coordinate where.
I want everybody to stay safe.
If that's something you're interested in, but I think for the ICE office, I mean, I think hopefully from the statement we had earlier, you get the sense that the board is not supportive of this also, or either. We're also very concerned We don't like what's happening. I mean, we're supportive of, I mean, reread the statement if you want, but it's going to be published. But really, from an office space perspective, we're not in the business of regulating what you do in private offices, as long as they're legal uses. And this is regular office space. I mean, there's nothing going on there except office work.
Okay.
So, anyway.
I thank you.
Okay.
My name is Richard Stratton. I've been here since 1960, so it sounds like we're in a competition for who's here the longest. I'm also concerned about ICE. That's why I came. I did see on MS Now last Monday night, there are at least 10 communities that are fighting back. Pat Ryan in New York State is a congressman who is moving the ball to get ICE out. So I know it can be done. I don't know what the Board of Supervisors can do, but I was hoping to get some guidance if you could do something. So, you know, citizens like myself and the rest of us here can help prevent what I regard as future atrocities committed by our federal government as currently constituted. And I want to nip it in the bud before it gets too bad. So and it sounds like you all feel the same way, but let's take some action. If I can be of any service, if you can use just a citizen who's in the township, I'm willing to volunteer. So. Does anybody have any comments about?
Well, first of all, thank you.
Sure.
I don't think you're just a citizen. I think we're all just citizens. I mean, us here too. To the extent people have ideas of specific things we can do legally in the township, we're open to listen to them and consider them pretty thoroughly. I mean, we've talked about it and haven't really come up with anything we can do about an administrative office that's in an office building. It's just like any other office building here doing the same kind of work. That's our issue. So if you have an idea of something someone's doing somewhere else, we're happy to listen.
Is there any conduct in these office buildings that would be illegal? Let's just say promoting illicit drugs. At that point,
sure, there's a whole list of, you can't deal drugs, you can't be a prostitute. I mean, it's a whole list of things you can't do.
Yeah, so I would like to get ICE in that mix, if possible, as an illegal activity in Tredyffrin Township.
I think the federal government trumps our local township government and the state government about that. You know, that
Article 6, yeah.
we can't on our own state that kind of office use is illegal and therefore they can't office there.
Can't be coded out or zoned out.
Not that I'm aware of.
Can I ask, what about the detention centers that the people have stood up to them
Yeah.
throughout our country?
I think those are going to be
Senators
up 422, aren't they acquiring property up 422 like in Berks County for that?
I don't know, I'm just saying.
So detention centers are obviously a different situation. There's, they have to have facilities and sanitary sewer hookups. There's lots of ways where you could fight that based on an office building or a storage facility being used for that kind of use. That's a different argument, but this is an agency of the federal government using an office for office use. We have no authority to say we don't want the DEP to be using an office. You can't selectively choose federal agencies and say they can't use office if they're following use. And on top of that, as the supervisor mentioned, they don't have to follow local zoning laws. They actually did pull the permit and followed our procedure, and technically they really don't have to because they are the federal government. The national park doesn't have to follow any of our regulations at all, and they're located in Tredyffrin Township. So they did pull the permit, they followed the procedures, and it was inspected. It's office use. Detention facilities is a much larger, different animal. There are avenues you could try to pursue. I don't know how successful they will be in the long run, but you have different uses in the different zone districts. That's a different kind of stories. That's why the board has really looked at this. It's an office use for office personnel, and we really don't have any other authority to deny that use.
Are we sure of that? Could it be expanded? I don't know anything about that complex. Think about.
It's an office building, so, and the permit and the work they did was office-related, so that's all we know.
I think you all should help us out and keep an eye on it.
I can assure you we are.
going to do
And
that.
if, we are keeping an eye on it. If you have ideas on what we can do, we're open to listen to them, but
Yeah.
right now, we're telling you what our analysis is, which is, it's an office building that was used for office purposes in the past, it's being used for office purposes now, they're allowed to do that. I mean, we can't regulate, yeah.
Are you looking more,
Rules about what they can do in the parking lot. Like if they want to assemble all their agents in the parking lot to go out on a hunt, are they allowed to do that in that parking lot? I mean, when we were looking at the history and we were looking at trying to preserve old buildings, we were trying to find ways to make the law work for us so we can keep some of our old buildings. Well, this is about trying to keep our identity. And we're going to have to find a way to fight back against this. Someone's going to get hurt.
if it's on private property, there's nothing that we can do. If it's their private property, we cannot not let them assemble. They have the right to assemble.
So they could bring all their agents into that parking lot?
They can, because it's private property, they can't come on the county's property, they can't come on the township's property. But if they're on that private property, we can't stop them. That's their right to do. Now, I'm going to ask the question just to the chief, and I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said. So let's just say, Chief, they did assemble on that private property, okay? Can we state, and like some other, and maybe, I'm not going to put it to you, I'm going to put it to the attorney here. I'm going to let you out of this, Chief. I'm going to throw it to him. So let's just say they bring agents here. Right now, we don't believe there's agents coming. They're going to be the office people, quote unquote. That's what they say.
We've been surprised by them a few times.
Well, yeah, I mean, anything can happen on any given day. I didn't think I was going to wake up Saturday to a war, but who am I? But let's just say they did bring agents here. Can we, as the township, put in a, help me, Lord.
Law. Regulation.
Something, I can't think of the word I want to use, that says if they're into different, they can't be masked, that you have to show your face. Can we have something that says the chief and them don't have to do anything with them? Even though they're, the feds trump the state trumps the county. Can that be put in there to give TE a buffer to show that we as, I'm taking myself out of as being a supervisor, but we as citizens are not condoning this?
I think that the board already affirmed the Chester County statement, and that kind of separates that the local police department does not view, civil immigration issues as crimes and will not enforce them and will not associate or support ICE except for public safety measures. So, that's in line with what you understand, Chief.
Well, I promise I'll shut up if you answer one more question. So if a group of unarmed, unidentified men pull up with a van, try to get me in the van, and I call my local police, are they going to help me or tell me I have to comply with the feds and prove I'm a citizen because I don't carry my passport on the regular? What will happen to a Tredyffrin citizen? Pretend for a second I'm protesting at 1000 West Lakes Boulevard. And they pull up, they don't like me, they shove my face in the snow, 3 of them are on my back, and I happen to call 911. What can I expect from the public safety I employ?
The chief law enforcement officer for Chester County is a district attorney. The district attorney worked with the local chiefs to develop the paperwork, the unified statement that pretty much covers that. We can't go into every if, ands, or whatever of the situation, but bottom line is we're here for the community safety, all the community safety. And we will go out and check on the situation, and if everything's being done appropriately, we will stand down if that's their role. If there's something going amiss that we think is wrong, We will document it, we'll take appropriate action if we have to, and we'll relay it back to the DA and see if the charges will be warranted to protect that individual. But as it says in the statement, everybody's protected in this community. And that's our goal. Our goal is to protect everybody. And that's why that unified statement went out to all the police departments. So we didn't have to have 73 different towns in Chester County all have different opinions on this. It's one unified front under the chief law enforcement officer for Chester County, which is the elected DA.
And just to be clear, I think we're not going to answer a bunch of what ifs because I don't think that's very helpful for right now. I think I would encourage you to read the statement again. And also, we're posting a Know Your Rights document, which is, I think, also helpful. I think those are the things you should start with and look at those. I think that's a better way to kind of move this forward, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I used to believe that.
To add to this, some of this I completely understand, the concern, the fear, and every member of the board is united in saying we want to make sure our community is safe. As somebody who works for the state government, some of the issue right now is just having to do with the different levels of government and the powers that they have. For example, we, as a local township, don't enforce civil, immigration orders. But what some of the things we can do, we can get very concerned about building codes and emergency codes. Because that kind of power is a power of a local government like the township. So things that you're kind of getting down in the, what some people would say the nitty gritties, we can make sure that our trash is getting appropriately picked up or not, and take remedial action if it's not. That's the kind of things that we as a township can do. And we would expect any resident or tenant of this township, be it a business or an individual or a government, to make sure that they're following our local codes with regards to those kinds of things. Those are the kinds of things that we are able to do, and certainly would expect everyone to be following. And if they're not, we would be holding those members for remedial measures. So I completely get it, and I think I just wanted to make sure that I was explaining some of this is not that there's not a desire. Some of it is just what power do we as a township in the structure of how our government works, federal, state, county, local. We're down here at the bottom. We can't do a lot of that stuff, but we can do that stuff. So I understand, and that's something that we can look at too.
Appreciate you, thank you.
Thank you.
Roland Johnson, Paoli, Pennsylvania. I just want to say something to this. A lot of people up here tonight criticizing the ICE officers. ICE officers are people too. And they've been spit upon, they've been threatened, their families have been threatened. And the laws of the United States state that if you come into the country illegally, that is a federal crime. As Tom Holman says, if you want to change it, change the law. That is a crime if you come into the country illegally. Now, you are right to appeal for asylum laws. If you don't show up for that asylum hearing, which is 3 years, maybe 2.5 years afterwards, you are subject to deportation. Now, I admit there was indiscretions. What happened in Minnesota was poorly handled. The guy, Bonji, that was appointed there was terrible. But we have had ICE officers in Washington, Memphis, New Orleans, etc. And as you, as the chief knows, they have the right to go into the jails in those places when somebody has been committed a crime and their sentence is up. They're not released back into the community. The ICE officers go in and they remove them for deportation. And I will say this, Trump has deported a lot of people, but a Democratic friend, Barack Obama, deported a lot of people. And Joe Biden let 11 million people come into the country really undocumented. So I just want to say something for the ICE officers of the world, because you had a lot of criticism. They are people too. They are families. They are people. They don't make a lot of money. They don't make a lot of money. Maybe sometimes they need better training too. But it's not easy to go out and always be called pigs, murderers, Nazis, everything under the sun. So I just want to voice that as a citizen too. And this is only an office building that is there. This is not an ICE station, it's an office building. And that's what it is. And I would think under the laws, a person has the right to rent his space out. And I'm sure you are not going to antagonize them for violation codes, just like you wouldn't antagonize somebody else and give them a violation code and throw them out of their apartment because the garbage was left outside on the street for an extra day. I was sure you wouldn't do that, right? Thank you.
I do have something to say, sir. Excuse me, sir. I do have something to say. And please don't take this the wrong way. Yes, there are a lot of people that came into this country illegally. But if I remember right, and I'm going to use a little history here, people that look like me got brought over here on a boat, chained up. So that was illegal. The people who were in this country got this country stolen away from them. So I don't have a problem with ICE as a person, but if you're going to be that person, take that mask off. Show your face. If you want to be that bold, take the mask off, okay? I have no problem with immigration and people need to come in, but a whole bunch of people came through Ellis Island and, oh gee, they were immigrants, but they didn't look like me. The problem is that they are coming after people who some look like me, some who don't, some who are U.S. citizens, naturalized citizens, have a passport. And what I'm hearing from the citizens here is that is not what we want. If you come in and you're having an office, no harm, no foul. I can't touch you because you're in there typing or doing whatever. But if you bring in a group of men, women, or whoever who have a mask on their face, and please, nobody in this room take this personally, but I, as a black woman, have an issue if you got a mask over your face, okay? Because back in the day, people put a mask over their face and they lynch people who look like me. So I get what you're saying about ICE. I really do. They are people. But you also got to look at the people that they are doing things to.
I would agree with you. They should definitely be unmasked. And I also should say this. I just like a statement from protesters, okay? Protesters, and I think there are people there that go out, and I don't think a police officer doesn't wear a mask. I don't think an ICE agent should wear a mask. I'm firmly of the belief of that, okay? And I think slavery was one of the most horrific things ever. But I do believe that, again, when people protest, and this is really not the place to discuss immigration, we could be here till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but people, when you are standing on line, okay, I remember I go back into demonstrations in 1970, Vietnam War. When you're standing there and people are throwing a urine bag at you and, calling your mother and everything underneath the sun, there should be some respect also for the ICE officers. I agree with you. I completely and utterly agree with you that an ICE officer should not be masked, okay? No question about that. But I also would ask you, do you think, just a personal opinion, do you think that if a felon is convicted, he's here illegally, and he has committed a crime, and he's been tried by jury and sentenced to 2 years, 3 years in jail, do you think he should be released back into the community, or do you think ICE has the right to go in there and remove him and for deportation?
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm going to say this. If you served your time, if you got locked up and you served your time... Is it a
legal citizen?
I'm not saying legal or illegal. There's a bunch of legal citizens who come out and commit crimes. What I'm saying is, if the person came into this country, legally or illegally, because pretty much everybody sitting here, I believe, would be considered an immigrant. Unless
legal immigrant. Legal.
No. I'm not, no. If you came over in this country back in, I want to say 16-something up there in Plymouth Rock, then you're an immigrant. The only people who are legit, they're Cherokees, Navajo, Apache. They are the real people. Now, we're going to do history? Let's do history.
I'd love to have a discussion with
Okay,
privately.
and we can, but here's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. If somebody does their time by the law, they are to be free. Now, if they have to be deported for whatever, that has to do with the law. But what I'm saying, and I think what the majority of this people in this room are saying, and this board is saying, okay, is that we don't want innocent people picked up because you don't speak, quote unquote, the king or the queen's English. You have a tan on you, okay? That is what I believe, and I may be wrong because I'm speaking for me. That is what I believe is what people are saying they don't want to happen in Tredyffrin.
I would agree with you in that. Tom Holman has said very distinctly that an ICE, the protocols of ICE are not for racial profiling.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, because if that's the case, then a lot of people shouldn't have got picked up, because it is racial profiling. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's let other of the public have an opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Ron Rose. My
Could I
wife has
just make
already
one,
spoken.
could I make just make one comment, sir?
You took all the words right out of my mouth. Thank you very much. I would say that Obama and Biden probably deported as many people as Trump is deporting, but nobody got shot by the people who were deporting them, the ICE people. So the other thing I'd say is that we have a convicted felon as president, so that's acceptable. I do appreciate the fact, I agree with everything these folks have said about concerns of ICE in our neighborhoods, because I don't trust them. You just can't trust them. And I understand that, there's not much you can do if they're using that space for office space. And I appreciate also that you've got together and written a document to describe what the township can do or can't do as far as, working with ICE or being aware of them in our presence and what they can or cannot to do. You read it kind of fast, so I wasn't, how do we get a hold of that document?
It's going to be posted on the website tonight.
Okay.
Or tomorrow morning, probably at this point, given the time, but it'll be up on the website.
Yeah, and you said something in response to one of the other speakers about our rights, what we can.
Yeah, there's a document that's going to list what your rights are. So it'll be a Know Your Rights document that's also attached to this. So it's three things.
It'll be attached to this document?
It'll be attached to this, yeah. There's three things. One is the statement that we jointly made earlier today. Okay. Then there'll be a repeat of the Chester County Chief of Police document, which has already been published on the website. Then there'll be this Know Your Rights document, which is also part of this. So there'll be that's all be collected and it'll be available by tomorrow morning, I guess, Pat? Yeah, tomorrow morning, yeah.
Okay. And I assume that if any citizens notice something that they're doing that we don't believe is part of just using an office space, that we would report it to who?
To call the police. I mean, you should call the police. If they're doing something that's against the law, you think is against the law, you should report it, just like any other crime you see being committed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, wait, yeah, go ahead, yeah. Wait, we have a supervisor who wants to speak. Go ahead, Bhaskar.
So I just wanted to, I think in the discussion, one thing has been missed, which is that being in the United States without proper documentation is not a crime. It is a civil violation, not a crime. And that, I think, is something that has been missed in the discussion.
Thanks for that clarification. That's an important one. Thank you. Other board comments? Thank you, Carla, by the way.
I do want to say also that...
Come on up, we can't hear you.
That it sometimes appears that the violence that is being put on the people that are supposed to be here illegally or not seems out of proportion. And there's a large number of them that are dying in detention centers. So I understand, I thought that Homeland Security, and then they have ICE, supposed to protect us, right? Against violent criminals and rapists and that kind of thing. But the force that I'm seeing, or the face of ICE now, looks way out of proportion and frequently looks illegal. So I want to be put down as saying that.
And one more follow-up to what one of our citizens mistakenly believes, is that these people that are being rounded up are here illegally. That is not true. Just like in Nuremberg in 1933, new laws were passed to make certain things illegal for Jews to do in order to render them illegal. Well, Donald Trump ended humanitarian parole programs for migrants from brown and black countries, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, thus rendering people who came here legally illegal.
You need Afghanistan to that list, by the way. You can add Afghanistan to the list, by the way.
Oh, Afghanistan too?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are others.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was pointing out largely black and brown ones because that's how the ICE people are pulling people over.
All right, anyway,
I'm
thank you.
not scared.
Okay, anyway, thank you. Any other comments from anybody who hasn't spoken yet? Any other board comments, you guys? Anything else you want to add to the end of this? Oh, sure, go ahead.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to follow up with what Mr. Van Mol said about you all can follow up and you will be, trying to, I guess, discussing what your level of law can do. Any idea on the timing on that?
I mean, I'm not the expert for that. I think we're discussing it as exploring all options. We're trying to see whatever it is we can do to make sure our community is safe. I don't know if there's a firm timeline for what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had pretty extensive discussions with our lawyers about what we can and can't do as a board, given the supremacy clause and, as Hans said, the structure of, we're the township and we're way below everybody else. But we're open to other ideas. I mean, if people have ideas, if we see, we have our heads up to see what other townships around us are trying to do, not just around us here, but everywhere in the country, to see if there are other experiences that are helpful to us. So if we see an idea that looks useful, we'll use it. But right now, we have done, we look pretty carefully at the building permit, like it's a legal building permit. We thought pretty hard about the CO, certificate of occupancy. They got it because there's no reason not to. So we're trying to pay attention pretty carefully, but at this point, to your point, it's legal use of the property and we're going to let them do it.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for that, because I was just getting ready to ask, what are neighboring townships doing?
We haven't found anyone with any ideas that are helpful to us, if that's useful.
So
detention centers are the big thing people are protesting, right? And that's kind of the big protest thing right now, or big concern right now. And there, you have tapping fees to the sewers is one example of something that we actually have some leverage on. So Hans sort of implied that, I think Bill mentioned that. So there's things for a detention center where you're taking a warehouse, which probably has 2 toilets or something like that, and trying to fill it with people with lots of cells. There's a different use, and there you may have some leverage. The fact is that the supremacy clause of the Constitution gives the right, the laws of the federal government are above the laws of the state and the local governments. So we experience that all the time with the park, for example. They don't comply with their zoning regulations. I mean, they don't have to, and that's the way it has been forever. So is that helpful to you?
No.
Oh, well, sorry, I'm just trying to tell you what's going on, yeah. That's my... Yeah, I know, I tried.
And I have to admit, Mr.
So
Miller...
But I mean, for an office use, there isn't much leverage we have, I guess is the answer.
Well, okay, well, first of all, I have to admit that this is my first time hearing that there's, ICE trying to, get into a building right here in the township. And I admit that I didn't know that until tonight, and so it's very upsetting. But I guess the reason why I ask is, what are other municipalities surrounding Tredyffrin doing? Because I don't know, But I was just wondering, is there like a group effort or a group statement, or just knowing and working with other townships, as a group? I don't know if that makes a difference. And,
So I think you should read the statement we just put out, or putting out.
I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, I'm having a very hard time hearing you. Okay.
I'm sorry, is that better?
Yes, that's way better.
I'm sorry, I'm probably moving away from this. I'm gonna have a little bit of a sore throat. So the Chester County Police have put out a statement about how they will operate with or not operate with ICE. So that, from a county-wide perspective, that's been out, and that's been out for a while, so that's worth reading. From a local, like, are we cooperating with Radnor or talking to Radnor about anything? Not really, no. We haven't talked to them about it.
Is there a reason why?
But probably we just thought about it. Do they have
I'm not aware of neighboring townships that have, that are in the same situation.
Yeah, they're having offices. I mean, we can ask around, but we talk to Easttown all the time. They don't have any ICE offices in Easttown, so there's nothing to talk about.
Well, it's not so much that there's an ICE office. It's just the idea that they're nearby. And yes, you can say, if they do this, if they do that. I mean, that's one thing. But as somebody mentioned about nipping their actions in the bud, because just because somebody has an office doesn't mean that people can't protest the fact that they're there or whatever. I don't know. But, I'm just thinking about what people are saying. And Ms. Carlotta, I agree with every word that you said. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
There are citizens group organizing protests. They've already protested at least once at the office.
Say again?
There are citizen groups protesting at the ICE office or the Thousand Westlake's office already. So there's at least been one protest so far there.
And how widespread is this in the news?
Very, very. Yeah, if you don't, it's well known everywhere in the township.
In the Inquirer, other places, New York Times?
We found out about it in a national publication, so.
That's terrible. Okay, thank you very much.
Any other board comments? Last chance for public comments? Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.